halfway through week 5 and just wanted to take some time to reconnect with you, give you a few tips for the assignment due this weekend. The first thing that I wanted to point out was that I recently posted an announcement on Blackboard explaining that there are now 2 options for extra credit. A few of you were wondering if that would be the case, and so I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys the opportunity for extra credit. So there's 2 different assignments. I don't want anyone trying to tackle these assignments if they feel like they're not going to have time to do their final project or the final exam. If you notice the final exam and the final project, there are a lot of points, and I would hate to see you try to work on the extra credit assignments and try to get a few extra points and then bomb the 2 final projects that are due. So if you've noticed, I've had week 7 open for a while now, which has the final information on there so that you can start working on that ahead of time. Hopefully you've looked at that. Hopefully you've started some of your research for that a while. Again, the extra credit is not mandatory. It's optional. So if you feel like you want to get a few extra points, and again, my extra credit is usually not tons of extra points because I don't want people to jump a huge, from a B to an A by just doing extra credit when it probably should have been earned in the class. But these extra points will hopefully maybe bring you up a half a grade level from like an A minus to an A, B plus to an A minus if you're really close. And so if you are really close or you think you're going to be really close, it might be useful to do that extra credit. So if there's any questions about that, let me know. I will have the actual assignments posted by the beginning of week 6, which is coming up pretty soon. One of the things that I wanted to talk about really quickly was the work design project, and probably the best thing to do is to read the actual assignment and take some time to look over all the criteria, because a lot of you are missing points because you're missing some of the criteria for the assignments. If an assignment says it needs this or it needs that, then you need to make sure that you have it. And if you don't have it, you could have a really well-written paper, but I can't give you full credit because you didn't do what the assignment asked for. So for example, this assignment I believe says 6 to 7 slides. Make sure that you have 6 to 7 slides. If you only have 3 or 4 slides, then don't expect to get a ton of full credit for that. So on the work design project, we're looking at 3 different approaches. The engineering approach, the motivational approach, and the socio-technical approach. And within that assignment, there's a couple different things that I want to make sure you guys understand. And again, if you're looking at the assignment, I'm kind of reiterating what's already there. I'd love to go into more detail on all those work designs, but that would kind of defeat the purpose of your assignment, which is to tell me your understanding of those work designs. So there's a couple things I wanted to point out. First, make sure you do that overview. The overview of which approach you're going to choose. Again, you're choosing one approach. You're not doing all 3 of those approaches. You're choosing one of the 3. You're going to give me a quick overview. The overview will help me understand, help me to know that you understand those concepts that you're talking about. So give me a little insight. Remember to cite your sources. You probably should be using more than just your textbook for this, and I'll get to that in a little bit. The next section, and maybe each of these is 1 to 2 slides. Again, you decide, but you have to hit the 6 to 7, I believe, is what it says, the assignment says. The next part is focusing on the types of jobs or companies that could benefit from this approach. Again, these are not necessarily jobs and companies that you definitely know are using these approaches, but what types of jobs, what types of companies, what types of employers should be using these approaches to be successful in the workplace. That's the second point. The third one is which jobs and companies use it. So give some examples, and don't just list things. Give some examples of which companies use these approaches. How have they fared from using these approaches? And then lastly, I want to know how would you integrate these approaches in an organization. So not only do you understand the concept of these approaches, but I want to know that you know them inside and out so that you could be, as the professional coming into an organization or a consultant, an HR manager, you could actually walk in and you could, sorry, my camera just went out on me. You could walk in and, set up one of these approaches and make it work. So explain to me how you would do that. So those are the key things to remember. Again, remember the citations, remember all those other things that I said, but make sure you hit those points. Really quickly, if you haven't started the assignment yet, which you probably should jump on that quickly, I'm going to give you some page numbers to reference some of these areas. So the engineering approach is on page 404 in the newest textbook. Right after that, the motivational approach is on page 405. And the socio-technical approach, that information starts on page 414. Again, do some research. Google these approaches. See what the different examples are out there. And again, if you're taking content from the web that is not your own content, and it's not general common knowledge. So general common knowledge you don't have to cite, but information, quotes, specific examples that somebody's writing about in an essay or in a paper, you're taking those exact sentences or an idea from those sentences, you need to cite those. So it talks about how to cite that within the PowerPoint. So anyway, I wanted to look at that. And then on page 425, I definitely would check that section out because that's designing work for technical and personal needs. And it just explains a little bit more about the different approaches and why different approaches are used for different cultures and different desired work environments. So if you are trying to focus on technical needs and enhancing technical needs, then you're probably going to go with the engineering approach. The motivational approach is going to be used for personal needs. And again, it explains all this and there's some charts there. And then the socio-technical approach is kind of a combination or infusion of both of those. So you have the engineering approach and the motivational approach. You're going to see that there's a variation there, but the socio-technical approach is going to look out for the technical needs and the personal needs. So hopefully you'll learn a lot from that section. Again, go and explore, do some research of your own, and hopefully you'll be able to come up with a nice solid presentation. Again, it doesn't have to be amazing, but make sure that your slide has more than one or two sentences on it. Make sure that you're giving me some information and showing me and proving to me that you understand the concept and that you're able to go into the workplace and run these designs and incorporate these designs in what you're trying to do. So I think that's it. Continue working hard. We're almost done. We have I guess 2 more weeks after the end of this week. So the finish line is there. Keep working hard. I'll continue to give you more information in the announcements, and I look forward to reading these papers from you. So any other questions, let me know. Again, try to give me more than a day or two heads up so that I can get back to you in time for you to make those changes and for me to be able to answer those questions in a timely manner. So again, I look forward to reading your papers, and hopefully you've seen that all the other grades are up to date. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Thanks.